Islam, can you introduce yourself to us and the people that don't know? Who am I talking to?
McCloud EO.
How long have you been incarcerated? What year did you come down?
I got arrested in early September 1988.
So that's about what, 32 years?
34.
34. What area of Detroit are you from? Where'd you grow up at?
Um, Born on the east side, but raised on the west side, northwest side of Detroit.
What neighborhood?
Um, Part of my early years was the Finkel Greenfield area. We lived on Rutherford, and then the teen years, 7 Mile Greenfield area.
Okay. Did you know Monty Bay? Excuse me, Matthews Bay growing up?
No, we met in there.
Okay, you met in there. And what about David Brooks?
David Brooks, again, know him from out there in the streets.
Okay. Were you pretty close during your childhood?
Say that again.
Were you guys pretty close during your childhood?
Yeah, somewhat.
Okay. How was it like growing up over there? What was that like? Maybe 80s, 70s, late 70s?
The 70s, I was in my single digits for the most part. Early 80s, just becoming a teenager. Um, Pretty good, normal life in the city, not that bad neighborhood at that time. So it was pretty good. Northwest side of Detroit, the Finkel Greenfield area, was a pretty good neighborhood at that time.
Was it gangs around when you all were growing up? Because these young people kind of don't really believe that gangs probably didn't exist at one point in time. I'm not sure though about those times.
No, gangs wasn't in Detroit. Maybe when I was in my single digits in the 70s, you had the BJs and Earl Flynn's, but I was too young for that stuff. And when I hit my teens, early teens, no, gangs wasn't in Detroit like that.
Bloods, Crips, none of that.
No, none of that.
Okay. Now was your neighborhood, was it a lot of drug dealers? Was people getting money, or you really didn't know what was going on?
Um, Not no personal information, but word on the street, young people's hearing stuff. The people who was running things lived in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and where they trafficked it at was the other neighborhood.
I hear growing up you were like an all A student.
Yep, straight A, B student, easy B, easy A. Education came pretty easy for me.
Who would you contribute that to? Your mother, your father, or was it a single parent household? What was going on?
Um, no, I had both parents. I would say both of them because you don't bring home the grade. They want to see the report card. And if that report card ain't right, you're in trouble.
Right. Did you participate in any sports or anything like that?
Not nothing organized, but when we were young, wasn't no video games or nothing. So, neighborhood, we played baseball, we played football, we played basketball, but nothing organized.
Hmm. Now, when did you find yourself start getting into the streets? What brought you what we call jumping off the porch?
For me, I would say maybe they started at my ninth grade, 10th grade. A little skipping school here and there because the curriculum was easy. So, you ain't being watched as closely in high school as you were in elementary and junior high. So, maybe ninth, more so the 10th grade, start skipping a little bit because I'm still getting easy A's and B's. So I would say about that time, about the 10th grade mostly.
What did you start doing?
Skipping school, so I'm out in the streets more, doing nothing in particular, but just not where I'm supposed to be.
Hmm.
And, not being where you're supposed to be, you find yourself doing things that you ain't supposed to do.
Exactly. As you start acclimating to the streets, was there a particular influence that brought you, to that lifestyle that we so often get lost in?
I would have to say, as the listeners may be aware of, um, you hearing about and seeing, the guys who's supposed to be ballers showing up in Mercedes and, the best trucks with the best jewelry and the best girls, and that become the thing you want to do and the thing you want to chase. So just seeing the guys who you hear about, that's making all the moves and running everything, showing up at high school, showing up at different clubs or at the theaters, and they got, they in Mercedes or BMWs or whatever, the best trucks with the hottest chicks, and that stuff does influence.
Hmm. Was there anybody in particular that kept, hey, come with me, do this, do that?
Um, no, I can't put a name on who would have influenced me to do anything. Just the sights and sounds of what the city does.
Exactly. In that time and era, was cocaine or crack, was that a social drug at the time?
Yeah, those were the substances that dominated the country. Not just Detroit, but Detroit, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Miami. Those two substances that you mentioned, they dominated the country.
Did you ever partake in any of the using of it?
No, I never used. I guess the worst thing, I say it that way, that I ever used was maybe smoke the joint, a few times in my life, but getting high never was my thing.
Hmm. Always to keep a clear mind. So
Yep, you need to be thinking in the streets.
yeah. So did you get any juvenile trouble and incarcerated, adjudicated as a juvenile?
Yep, this is that skipping school and being, not being where you're supposed to be. You end up being in places that you shouldn't be. Um, One time I can recall, I had some friends to take me out to the mall to buy some stuff. Mom gave me a few dollars. I went out, purchased the stuff.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I went out, purchased the stuff that I was supposed to purchase at the mall, and the homies took a detour rather than going back home, and got caught up in these dudes trying to take something from somebody, and I get arrested with them. And the authorities ain't trying to figure out who did what. We all in the car together, so we all fall for it.
Exactly. What did your mom say when you got into that trouble? Was there consequences to it, or
Say that again.
was there any consequences in your household for getting caught up in that?
Oh yes, it was serious consequences. Both with my mom and with the authorities.
Hmm.